Good morning, students. This is Pranish Shukla, and today I'm going to explain the chapter Lost Spring. The chapter is chapter number 2nd in Flamingo book, okay, class 12th, CBSE. So, stories of stolen childhood. First of all, I give you a brief introduction of Anis Jung, the author. Anis Jung, she was born in 1964. She was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. So she is South Indian. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the United States of America. So she not only educated herself in Hyderabad but also in America. Her parents were both writers. So naturally, the legacy that she was pursuing, the following was also about the writer. So naturally, she had the ingredient, the inheritance of writer parents. Anis Jung began her career or profession as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist. Sorry, she was a writer and columnist for major newspaper in India and abroad, and has authored several books. Okay, so the following is an excerpt of the piece or from her book titled Lost Spring: Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzes the grinding, extreme poverty and traditions which condemn these children, which force these children to live a life of persecution, exploitation. Clear or not? Now, notice these expressions in the text. Inform and try to understand their meaning from the context. So first of all, the first expression is looking for. Looking for means search. Slog means waste. Their daylight hours mean their day hours. Roof over the head or any shelter. Roof over his head mean any shelter. Perpetual state of poverty means everlasting state of poverty that seems to be never ending. Dark hutments means the huts, their residences which are very dark and blotted. Imposed means implemented, forced, burdened. The baggage on the child mean the burden on the child. So imposed mean, you can say that imposed mean burdened the baggage on the child. Okay. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. This is the first highlighted line, which is a line of a character whose name is Sahib-e-Alam. Anis Jung actually talking to Sahib-e-Alam. This is Anis Jung's visit at somewhere in Simapuri, that is at the periphery of Delhi. So I directly begin the chapter. Okay. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter, whom I face every morning, scrounging and searching for gold in the garbage dump. Sahib-e-Alam is a character, and Anis Jung is talking and interacting with this character. So he's saying, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. So why do you do this? I ask Sahib-e-Alam. Our author Anis Jung says to Sahib-e-Alam, why do you do this when I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of neighborhood? So Anis Jung says that whenever I meet, not whenever, one day she met Sahib-e-Alam and she asked him, why does he scrounge, why does he search for gold in the garbage? Gold means, the value of the earning is so important for Sahib-e-Alam that it has been treated or it has been explained by the writer or named by the writer as if it is a gold, but it is a metaphorical expression. So why do you do this? Sahib left his home long ago. So this blue line you can see there, highlighted first line, this is the response of Sahib for the question, why do you do this? Sahib left his home long ago. Long ago means many days ago. Set amiss means the house is situated or home is situated somewhere in the green fields of Dhaka. Dhaka, everyone, we know that Dhaka is the capital of Bangladesh. His home is not even a distant memory. His home is still not faded in the memory of these people. There were many storms. Storms means, many rough experiences, many disasters that swept away mean that devastated their fields and homes. Okay. His mother tells him, this line is explained to him by his mother. His mother tells Sahib-e-Alam that they belong to Bangladesh, they belong to Dhaka, now they are living. His home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields. His mother tells him that's why they left, looking for gold in a big city where he now lives. So that's why they evacuated their cities and now they are settled down in a big city like Delhi, and nearby Delhi there is a place, Simapuri, where they are living. I have nothing else to do, he mutters. Now again the response of the question. I have nothing else to do. That's why I do it. looking away, go to school. And he was when answering that, I have nothing to do. So he looks here and there, not directly confidently in the eyes of Anis Jung. Go to school, I said glibly. Glibly mean, without any thinking, spontaneous answer. Spontaneously, I said to him, why don't you go to school? Realizing immediately, but Anis Jung says immediately she realized how baseless, how impractical the advice must be. Because the children, the people who could not afford even their bread and butter, how can we expect that they will be attending school? There is no school in my neighborhood, so Sahib Alam but does not say that I am very poor and so on. He very easily answers, there is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, they mean when anyone or people will build any school, I will go. So Sahib Alam does not start to say that I am very poor and so on. He also reply casually by saying that there is no school. If there will be school, I shall go there. Again, Anis Jung says, if I build a school, if I start a school, will you come? I ask half joking. So in a very jocular manner, she says, will you be coming in my school if I will be building? Yes, he says. So he said, smiling broadly mean with a full smile, with a complete smile, with the open smile, he says, yes, I will be coming. A few days later, I see him running up to me. So after this conversation, there comes a stop. And after a few days, what happens, I tell you. A few days later, I see him. Anis Jung says, I saw Sahib Alam, he was running up to me, he was coming up to me. Is your school ready? And directly he answers, he questions, Madam, your school is ready. It takes longer to build a school. Now Anis Jung feels embarrassed because she had said to him, I will build, will you come? But now the boy says, hello ma'am, your school is ready. So it was just a casual remark that she had made that day. Now it was not meant and fulfilled. So she felt embarrassed that no more school is there. At having made a promise, so she felt embarrassed, she feels humiliated, she feels ashamed and blushed because she knew that she had not built a school. At having made a promise that was not meant. So the promise which was not meant, for that promise she felt embarrassed. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. But again she says, or further she says that promises like me mean the promises that I made that I will build a school. Such promises are very common expression or very common aboundings in every corner of their bleak world, blotted world, dark world. After months of knowing him, now Anis Jung furthermore goes there and she says, after months of knowing him, I ask him his name. So I ask him, what's your name, boy? Sahib Alam, he announces, and he says, my name is Sahib Alam. He does not know what it means. He does not know. Well, he was illiterate. He was one of those people very poverty stricken. How could we expect that he will know the meaning? So if he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe. So Anis Jung further says, if he knew, suppose he knew the meaning is Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. It was completely impossible for him to believe that because his name is honor of the universe, Lord of the universe, but he is not even the Lord of his own. He cannot even have a comfortable survival. Unaware of what his name represents, well, he is completely unaware of the meaning of his name. And he does not know what to do. He does only one thing. He roams, wanders around the streets with his friends. So he roams the street, he roams along the street for his working with his friends. It is just like an army of barefoot boys. When the group of the boys is running along the streets, it seems to be as if it is an army of boys who appear like the morning birds. It seems as if they are morning birds because they appear in the morning birds and disappear at noon, and in the afternoon time they got disappeared. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. So she also says that over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. Over the months mean during the months and all the months she had spent there, she recognized, she got introduction with everyone, each of them. So one by one, she got her introduction with everyone. Why aren't you wearing chappals? One day Anis Jung asked Sahib Alam, why are you not wearing chappals, footwears? My mother did not bring them down from the shelf, he answers simply. So very simply he answers that because my mother has not taken them off the shelf, that's why I did not wear. They never say that I am very poor. They always respond in a very, in a very smart way. Or they say that from the shelf she did not answer. Even if she did, he will throw them off. But there was also another boy, and he says about the answer of Sahib Alam that even if she did, if she was going to take the slipper to him, or take the slipper off the shelf and give him, he will throw them off. And another who is wearing shoes that do not match. So there was a group of boys. So, Anis Jung asked Sahib Alam, why not wearing chappals? He says, my mother did not them take away from the shelf. So the boy is another, and he says that if she will do, he is not interested to wear, because he is habitual of not wearing chappals. And the boy who was adding this sentence by crossing Sahib Alam, he was also wearing a kind of shoes that do not match. Means one shoe of different color, one shoe of different color, different design, etc. When I comment on it, so when Kamla Das says, when Anis Jung comment on it, he shuffles his feet. Shuffles means just simply rubs the feet each other and says nothing. Then he says in a very soft voice, I want shoes. Says a third boy. Okay, there is also a third boy, and he says in a murmuring tone, in a very, very, very humble tone, I want shoes. Who has never owned a pair all his life? This boy has never got any pair of shoe all his life. Well, footwears, they are not wearing, but this is also, now let's explore what's the reason. So Anis Jung says, traveling across the country, when she took her travel experiences in the country, I have seen children walking barefoot, and she has seen a lot of children, they are walking barefoot without wearing footwears and chappals. In cities, on village roads, they wander about without caring that they have to wear the chappal or they have not. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is an explanation. Well, usually they say, or people say, they are wearing not chappal, they are not wearing footwears because it is a tradition. But they usually give an excuse in the name of tradition, because it is just a lame excuse. They are not wearing chappal. This is the opinion of Anis Jung, that they are not wearing chappal because they are poor. It is not that, it is the tradition. I wonder if this is an excuse. She further also says in this line, Anis Jung gets surprises and astonishes that this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. So she says that I don't trust that, I don't have a believe in this statement that they are not wearing chappal because of tradition. She will prefer to believe that they are not wearing chappal because they are poor. This is the reason that they are not wearing chappal, and this is only an excuse to explain away, to avoid the state of poverty kind of explanation. Now she further goes and she talks about, I remember a story, a man from Udupi. Now Anis Jung is talking about a story, and she is telling a story that there was a man, he was from Udupi, once told me, and he had told to Anis Jung one day, as a young boy he would go to school past an old temple. So the boy, when he was young, so he usually passed an old temple where his father was a priest. So she is now talking about a story that was told her by any man who was a young kid and he went to school. Whenever he went to school, there was a temple. He passed by that temple. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. And the boy usually stopped briefly at the temple and always pray for a pair of shoes. God, give me some shoes, provide me shoes, I do not have shoes, I am going to school. Such kind of prayers usually he chanted. 30 years later, I visited his town. Now Kamla Das says, Anis Jung says, after 30 years, I visited the town and temple, which was now drawn means which has now full of, in an air of desolation. After 30 years, when Anis Jung visited the town has been completely surrounded or drawn means synced, or I should say, synced and full of, in an air of desolation. In air of desolation means there is a kind of complete loneliness in the town. So she went there. In the backyard where lived the new priest. So there was a new priest, he was living in the backyard. There were red and white plastic chairs. So red and white plastic chairs were there. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform wearing socks and shoes. Suddenly she notices that there is a young boy and he is wearing uniform, socks and shoes, etc. Arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. And yes, this is all happens there. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Well, this is the end of the session, and I will be giving an elaborate explanation about it in in my later video. Okay, if you feel any doubt, any confusion, so kindly talk to me. Thank you very much. Good day.